Hi guys, Keith Arkberg Farms. It is now the middle of October. We're getting towards the end of the season. My green bean and zucchini experiment, this high tunnel is doing great. Also got a new heater back there I'm testing out. I want to talk about that next week. But we have reached my absolute favorite part of the season is last plant day. So let me show you. But first, head over to arkbergfarms.com, scroll down to the bottom, digital tools and training, bunch of cool stuff down there, bunch of cool spreadsheets, really help the farm going. Also, we do consulting as well. You can sign up down there. This is a great time of year to look back at your systems, kind of really evaluate what worked, what didn't work, and it's always great to have some help in that as well. So this will be the tunnel we'll be harvesting out of for the rest of the season. Now that we hit our last plant date, we will only be harvesting after this point. That's what this tunnel is exclusively for. This is mainly our overwintered crops and into our cooler season type crops. So we'll get to planting. We're going to do overwinter beets, overwinter carrots, and also our last planting leaf lettuce.
To start out, we're going to start with our carrots. Now, these carrots are being planted in mid-October and will be harvested in about April. We're using the Two Bad Cats roller dibbler, specifically just to draw out the lines on the bed. We specifically do this to have very nice consistent spacing on our beds. This ensures very little disease and very little moisture buildup within our rows, and also makes it for very easy weeding. So now I'm just using the Jang seeder. We are using a X24 plate with the normal half-inch spacing. I believe it's gears 9 and 11. Can't remember which way they go. And you have to be very careful with your carrot seeds. From season to season, vendor to vendor, and variety to variety, they vary greatly in size. These are actually much smaller than they usually are. Typically, I've been using the X24 for most of the season because we're aiming for about 30 seeds per foot. The best way to achieve this is actually to run your seeds through and do a calibration test of about a foot. And there I just about fell over running into the side of the tunnel. I will do a video later on how to calibrate the Jang seeder best, at least the best way I've found out. So the next part, we're running the roller dibbler down the bed again, drawing out our lines. Again, this is for super even spacing. These are actually spaced about 9 inches apart. The reason we do 9 inches is because I actually have a stirrup hoe that is about 8 inches across. It makes it very easy after they first germinate to get rid of the majority of the weeds popping up in between them that way. And go back in later. Oh, there's a little mistake there. I forgot to change the gears around. With beets, we plant them on 2.5 inches. So it's actually the same gears that you use for your half-inch spacing. And you just swap them in the Jang. Gives you a nice, consistent spacing for the beets and allows them to size up really nicely. But back to the weeding part. The rows are spaced specifically for the stirrup hoe, and then a week later we'll come back with our torsion weeder and actually weed around them specifically. I found I don't really have to do this once. During the winter, I might have a second or third flush of weeds come up, and that'll be a good time to run the stirrup hoe back through. The only disadvantage with the torsion weeder is you do not get stuff in row, so there'll most likely be a hand weeding as well. We're only using red beets. I've done 3 types of beets before, but I found they germinate in different time spans, which makes the next step very difficult. So now I'm just coming down, putting some indicator seeds down. Temperature really dictates the germination time of your crops, so we use turnips and radishes to kind of give us an idea of how things are going. Turnips will pop first, radishes will pop second. When those pop, I'll pull the plastic off the beets, flame them, and then when the beets pop, I will pull the plastic off of the carrots and flame them. Pretty much everything is about a day or 2 succession in between poppings, which give you a really good idea of what's going on with your soil. Now we're going through the most important part, which is actually covering our bed. We use our plastic mulch layer plastic. This is a 3 mil plastic, white on one side, black on the other. Black really aids in the germination because it keeps temperature down, or keeps temperature up, doesn't let it cool down. And then the moisture stays in great because of this. I'm only dropping a few row bags on this. This is a 90-foot bed inside of our caterpillar tunnel. And the reason I'm only dropping a couple bags is because we are in the tunnel and I really don't have to worry about the wind blowing. This tunnel faces east and west, and primarily we get winds out of the north and south. Sidewalls will go on eventually, but it has still not gotten cool enough, which we'll be going into probably in 2 weeks about the temperature and the way the crops grow depending on the temperature during your fall time weather. So this is the celebratory last planting of our leaf lettuce after a whole entire season of planting 1 to 2 trays, which is anywhere from 200 to 400 starts per week. This is a much anticipated and much joyous event. So this is our last planting, again, mid-October. And the way I've kind of strategized my planting on the farm is this will be what I actually start harvesting in April to supply our farmers market. We really won't get anything out of it during March. This will pretty much stop growing at about baseball size, and it'll just pretty much sit here and wait for me until I'm ready to harvest it. Once the warmer temperatures come with the spring, it'll finally start sizing up for me. Great time of year to plant and harvest. There's not much to do on the farm other than, watch it grow, keep harvesting out for the winter. The great thing about now is that there's very, very little pest pressure as well. The only pest pressure we'll be experiencing is when the aphids come in. So I'll be very vigilant to catch them, hit them with some potassium soap, which would be safer soap early in the season, and then just pretty much go from there and keep an eye on it. We will be covering this with row cover once it starts to get really cold outside, just to keep the frost off it. I mean, I'm not worried about it getting damaged, but we also don't want it to go too far dormant. We want everything to keep going and keep progressing through the season. So it's a great time of year to plant. I will warn you, the mic is not good in the next part of this because I'm changing my setup.
Now it's time to sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of the farming season. This time of year, one of my favorite times to grow because things kind of grow, but I don't have to keep planting them. All I have to do is harvest, worry about sales, that type of normal stuff instead of the day in, day out grind, plugging in, planting, turning beds. Of course, I still got cleanup to do around the farm, but hey, that's a whole different story. So, hope y'all like what you saw today. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank y'all. Have a good day.